Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
Welcome to another episode of MC Anime. MC here, and we're back with fellow co-host Leah. How's it been going?
It has been going pretty well. I had a very relaxing weekend. I did laser tag. That was fun. Did not win. And then did nothing on Sunday. So yeah, I'm good. I am. I had a pretty decent time, and now I'm like fully recharged to like take over and conquer the week. Whatever really enthusiastic people say.
My week has been interesting. I mean, We Choose You has been the theme the entire week, and I took it with a grain of salt, but I'm here and ready to record the episode.
Yeah, that's all that matters. That joy of finally getting done with all the other stuff, and then you can do the things you really enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this particular episode of MC Anime Podcast is the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie review. So we're gonna dive into what the new Dragon Ball Super movie superhero is all about, and then go from there.
Yeah. I mean,
So
of
what is your
course, it's gonna be spoilers. What's my what now about the movie?
What's your general feels with the movie?
I really liked it. I was actually surprised because I went in blind. One of my best friends is absolutely obsessed with Dragon Ball, mainly because of Vegeta. So she really wanted to go see this movie. And then I laughed because majority of the movie did not feature Goku and Vegeta. So it was really good. When I realized it was like a superhero movie, I don't know why I didn't realize. I bought the tickets. I like bought the tickets, picked the seats and everything like 3 weeks in advance. It wasn't until we got there and I was like, oh, it's a superhero movie. Interesting. Let's see how this goes. It was really good.
Yeah.
Laugh with like old school DVZ. I loved it.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Super being kind of like being the backbone of the franchise right now, given this different movies like Broly and then now the superhero. I think it takes off with Gohan being a superhero.
I think it was more so like in this movie, we finally got Gohan to actually do something like actually
Yeah.
fight without it being so much of a freaking like battle to convince him. Because if anyone saw Dragon Ball Z Super, just the series, everyone knows that like Gohan, who is like Goku's firstborn, he just doesn't fight anymore. He just wants to study and be in school. And for a while now, the fans have been really annoyed because they always talk about how he could be the most powerful Saiyan or like being in the universe, but if he would just pick up a dumbbell, but he's like, gotta read these textbooks. So I like that in this movie, it literally took zero effort on behalf of really anyone but Piccolo to like get going.
It's kind of interesting seeing the dynamic of Dragon Ball Super with Gohan. Not only is he introduced in the scene where he's actually doing something, but it also is his own movie, which I didn't think he would get his own movie. That's what's really mind-boggling.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's his own movie. I mean, in this one was like all of your kind of OG Dragon Ball fans, especially Dragon Ball Z fans, like everyone I know has loved it because you got more screen time with like especially Piccolo. You got Gohan. We had the Red Ribbon Army come back. And then you get the androids back in it, Krillin, 18, all of that. And it was one of those times where really Goku and Vegeta weren't there, but everyone put in
Yeah.
like the effort and like had to kick the butt of the villain. And you had a
Yeah.
Cell. There was a reappearance of Cell. It was like Mega Cell or something like that. So I think it was a really good balance between all the secondary characters you don't really get to see as much because Goku keeps
Hmm.
trying to ruin the multiverse. So yeah.
True. That is a valid point. I would also think that, with the introduction of Piccolo being in a more supportive role, I personally like the Red Ribbon Army coming back. I think that just goes back to the original and how it was vital to the franchise at that time.
Hmm.
Yes, they were defeated once, but they came back. They're stronger now. So you see the difference in strength and the common thread of the old enemy of this comes back in this other movie, but they're a lot more stronger. So you have to face an even stronger foe than the pre-movie version of them before.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it was a good way for people who maybe are also younger who haven't watched all of
Yeah.
Dragon Ball because it's been on for decades. It's a good way for people who only know kind of the series from Super kind of going forward and a little bit
Yeah.
of the background to kind of get reintroduced to it. And then
Yeah.
they also did a lot of fun stuff where they would drop random lines like calling Piccolo Kami repeatedly, and he's
Hmm.
like, "I'm not Kami anymore. I'm not a god trying to take over Earth and kill everybody." It's like if you've never seen it or saw that arc, you would wonder why they kept calling him that and why. Also, he didn't explain it. I like that too. They decided to not even bother explaining it, even though they brought it up several times.
Oh
And
yeah.
had a character there who didn't know why he was called Kami or wasn't called Kami anymore. So I liked it. I was like, "Oh, this is dope." It's a good, like, right in between film.
Yeah. What do you think of the new androids, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2?
I thought they were hilarious, honestly. I was like at first, when I was seeing it, I wasn't sure how I felt about them just because I did think it was interesting that we had androids who didn't look like people. If anyone remembers, like androids, like 16 through
Yeah.
18, um, they all look human-esque. But in this round, we get these more like kind of almost alien-like outer world kind of creatures. Well, androids floating around, and I like them. I also like how one was playful and one was chill. Um, and that they were ultimately still good guys, just fighting for the wrong cause. So, yeah, I liked them. I thought they were really funny.
Yeah, well, also they still match the superhero aesthetic with the cape and the bright yellow and the 1 and 2 on the symbols on the outfit itself. So, like, if you really want to look at superhero aesthetics, they actually score in that area as well.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, they were created to be the new superhero. So I really did like the fact that they
Yeah.
also, again, they didn't like over explain stuff. So, like, when Gambit 1 appears to Piccolo, Gambit 1 or 2, 2 maybe? He appears to Piccolo and they start
Gamma 2.
fighting. Yeah, Gamma
Yeah.
2, and then he's hitting him, we're seeing what you see in the manga, like when someone gets hit, it's like the bam, plow, boom, and it's like the old school comic book, like manga sound effect. But Piccolo's like, "Why can't I see you punching me? Like, why can't I see your sound effects?" And he doesn't explain it. It just keeps punching him in the face. I love that. I love that
And then
so
the
much. I was
yeah.
like, yeah.
And then the part where Piccolo gets defeated and then Gamma 2 goes back to the base of the Red Ribbon Army, and then Piccolo follows along and follows and sees that the Red Ribbon Army is back. It really does set up the movie more.
It really did, and I was just like, I think what I enjoyed about this one is, like, you did get the full fun that, Dragon Ball, is
Yep.
kinda known for when it comes to fighting storylines. where you're just like, "What are you doing? Why are you guys doing that? You guys are stupid, but you're also saving the day." So it was really fun to see both the villain side and
Yeah.
like our hero side uh both be kind of fleshed out and both sides to
Hmm.
be pretty funny and not one dimensional. Because they could have made the villains really one dimensional. I think that was my only thing I didn't like that much about the Red Ribbon Army, the original one, where it was just like,
Yeah.
we're just evil. We are just evil. We are here to
Oh
kill.
yeah.
That's it.
True. What do you think of Hedo and Magenta coming back as well?
I was surprised by both. I think I really liked Hito. I like that they spent more time showing like his tomfoolery, but like that he's still a kid and all of that. Uh,
Yeah.
Magenta was fine, but yeah, I like Doctor Hito. I also was just like, why did you create another cell? Like, you knew this was a stupid idea and you knew they were evil. Why would you do this? So, but I think that the way they did his character arc was
Yeah.
interesting rather than it ending up like how his normal family is. People just get destroyed. So,
Also, bringing back Cell in the form of Cell Max is kind of like interesting because it's a different version. And totally, it's interesting to say the least.
it was strange because I wasn't sure at first. And
Mm.
they that part they at least did explain, so you knew it was going to be a problem. But the fact that they said that his body had been created and that he was definitely stronger than his original form or like the original cell, or
Yeah.
Cell at his like top form, but he didn't have the intelligence and brain made yet. Like that still was going to take a lot of time. So when Mega Cell or Max Cell got unleashed, it was just raw power, and that kind of gave me Broly vibes. If
Yeah.
anything, like yeah, it gave me pure like, oh, we're having like another Broly situation where it's just an overpowered monster beating the crap out of everyone.
Pretty much. You know. We have the original Cell. He's red instead of green, glowing yellow, and I don't know. It's like the body doesn't appear until he actually powers up, and then he also has the glow when he uses the Kai attacks. I mean, I'm really impressed with the improved version, just because it's like more characterization to the original Cell, but it's a totally different Cell. If
Mhm.
that makes any sense.
No, it makes total sense. I really liked this cell. I think I also liked the transformations that we got to see with everyone as
Yeah.
they continued fighting. I also think that the changes in color also helped make it feel kind of fresh and new because it was stuff that you hadn't really seen before. Yeah, so you just paid more attention.
True, but his personality is also a result of being prematurely activated by Magenta as well. That's why Cell Max kind of be's mindless and goes berserk, like a berserker type.
Well, I mean, he was already going to be berserker, I think, regardless until he got his
Yeah,
brain put into him. Um,
yeah,
the fact that Magenta just felt the ultimate need to like unleash him was a little confusing because I got annoyed at the fact that he had already been told that like this Max Cell or whatever didn't have the intelligence to stop. Like if we unleash him, we probably won't be able to stop him. Or we won't be able to control him. And he still was like, don't care, don't like losing, and hit the button. And I didn't get it. I was like, it would have made more sense if he did it while Dr. Hito was trying to stop him. And then
yeah,
after he yelled it out and it was too late and he had already pressed the button, but I was like, you can't stop this thing, and it's probably going to destroy the Earth. It just did not seem worth it. But then again, corrupt power and all that.
yeah. I think having like an accidental activation would probably been better. There's just him just
No,
randomly activating it without no conflict.
well, I mean, there was conflict. I like it had gotten down to the point where the androids, so Gamma 1 and 2, and Dr. Hedo, like everyone has stopped fighting basically at that point and become friends. So by the time like Krillin and them showed up, it was like they didn't have to keep fighting. So I think he realized if he didn't do something, everyone with extreme strength and intelligence was going to try and get him. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, it was just weird that he knew it wasn't going to end well, and he still went full force
Yeah,
in that direction.
you bringing up Doctor Hedo and having a conflict of deactivating the project would probably been a better storyline. Just maybe Hedo realizes like well, we're all friends. There's no need to have this, and then Magenta's in the background trying to stop him, and then they activate it.
Yeah, because
Or
that would
Doctor
have
Hedo
made.
coming in when he was trying to do it, and they're having an argument, and then he does it. Could have worked too.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they did have their own little fighting moment. I thought that
Yeah.
was cool. And so it was basically everybody fighting on some level, but I did think it was strange that's how they decided to activate him, and I think that was the only weak part of the story where you were like, seriously? But then again, it's Dragon Ball. These
Yeah.
everything is unbelievable. Everything is unbelievable
Yeah.
within this show, but it's still really well loved. And I mean, everyone who was in the theater with me, because the theater was filled out. Like my theater, I went on a Friday night, and it was
Yeah.
packed. Um, Everybody was in their seats, popcorn at the ready, laughing and like reacting to the actual film, which was really cool. So if anyone out there is able to go see it in theaters and feels comfortable doing it, I would say do that because it's really fun to be around anime fans when something cool happens. Because
Oh
like
yeah.
some people get real, real excited, and other people are like, "Ooh!" Like it's so many different levels of excitement that kind of go over the crowd. And especially during that like the end fight with Gohan, um,
Yeah.
and his transformations coming through, that was cool.
And
And then
another
that day,
thing,
still Super
Magenta
Saiyan.
already knew that the data was incomplete. He couldn't decipher the Dr. Jiro's data. So, I don't know. Unleashing a failed project doesn't seem as a good plot device. I mean, yes, there's always incomplete transformations, but that's usually the user error, not the person unleashing an incomplete weapon.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't even that it was like a failed product. It was just that
Yeah,
it had already been explained that the the all the data that had been used to give Cell his intelligence and make him this ultimate weapon and machine wasn't as simple as just making his body. He was like,
yeah,
so I have to take more time to go through my grandfather's like calculations and all of that, and then I can add that in, but it's gonna take some time. And we already had gotten a hint that that wasn't, what Magenta wanted. But also at the same time, like, dude, ending the world because you want your project to be done early is really stupid. And also, I thought it
yeah,
was weird. I was like, if y'all didn't have Cell completely ready, why did you guys go and bother Piccolo and the rest of the Saiyans? Like, you thought that they were so strong and powerful, and you know that they've beaten you before. Why don't you have all of your people on the ready? Why
yeah.
only have two androids? It was just strange. It was a
True.
strange decision.
And don't forget, we have the failsafe by Dr. Hedo on the top of the head. The
Hmm.
self destruction, if it's damaged enough.
Which that I was like, oh, thank God they did basically like a Star Wars on it, where they were like, yeah, let's give them an easy out that is like obtainable, and I was like, okay, I can work with this. That's fine. Um, But then you get stressed out because it doesn't work right away. Like he gets hit, but it didn't work.
Yeah,
If
the
anything, he just
damage
got
has to
bigger.
yeah. They made him too powerful, so the damage cannot had be substantial over time in the fight.
Which
I mean,
honestly was fine because that kind of reminded me also of the old Dragon Ball games as well, where
yeah.
you're like fighting an enemy and you're like, okay, cool, they're almost down, and then when you think you just when you thought you got them, they get this weird power up, and you're like, seriously, come on, just please stop, please. If I say please, will you stop?
Yeah, like I don't know. I think it's funny that it took Gohan Super Saiyan, Trunks, Goten, the Unleashed Piccolo, 18 Android, Krillin, Gamma, and Gamma 2 just to be able to fight it.
But again, I mean, I think that we're not taking into account the fact that, like, usually when we get an enemy that big and bad, we have Goku and Vegeta there. So it's not
True.
normally this stressful, but it did give all of these characters who the fans have loved through the years a chance to actually shine.
Yeah.
And I think also they made it that tough so you could actually see them fully fight. Like, oh my god, the way the theater laughed and people were like, "Are you kidding me?" When Gohan was like, "Piccolo, why don't you just get big like that one time when you were Kami?" And he was like, "I did what?" And I was like, "Oh my god, that's right. He can grow large." And he was like, "I forgot I could do that." I'm like, "We forgot you could do that." But also, how are you forgetting? It's your body. It's how, everyone was like, "What? What do you mean you forgot?" Oh my god, we're out here fighting with our tiny hands, and you could have at least pinned him down. Seriously, Piccolo? So that was hilarious. That was
Yeah,
so funny to me.
I honestly think that part is like you forget your power, and then the audience forgets the power as well. But at the same time, it's like, huh, we forget, you forget, and then it's all back into this movie.
Yeah.
Which I guess going back and doing like old continuity of old canon is great because it realigns your interest in the movie once you hear it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, again, it's one of those things where they did it just enough. Like when Gohan said
Yeah.
it, and Piccolo was like, "What?" They showed the original like episode where he does it, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that's right. He really can get big." This is another thing that we all forgot this together, even the
Hmm.
characters. So yeah, everybody was like, "Oh yeah," and I like that. And you know, if you haven't seen like just Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, and you just saw Super, it gives you something to kind of go back and look for,
Yeah.
and watch through because then you can see these character arcs who these might also just be characters you never paid that much attention to if you just
Yeah.
hopped into Super. Yeah.
True. I also like the part where Gohan and Piccolo realized that Piccolo held him in place. Gohan Beast was actually able to do damage to Cell Max. And then they were like at the end contemplating if Goku and Vegeta would have been able to do the same as what they just did.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's natural for them to wonder what would Goku and Vegeta have done. Um,
Yeah.
but they weren't there. They weren't there for the stupidest reason. Like the stupidest, funniest reason to me, the most Dragon Ball reason to not show up to a big boss battle fight on Earth is because you're having a stupid sparring match on another planet. And the phone device
Yeah.
to like be able to contact you does contact you, but you threw a bucket of ice
Yeah.
cream on top of it. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is very Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, it was so funny. But I mean, honestly, I think probably what would have ended up happening. I said this to my friend. I was like, don't be honest. Knowing Goku, he would have gave the freaking Mega Cell the goddamn suit to me. Just done it all over again. Oh, Gohan's like
Oh.
holding his arm like father, and he's like, okay, maybe this time it'll be better. And it's like, no, stop helping the enemy. Why do you do this, Goku? Cut it out. Freaking menace to society, dude.
Oh
Seriously.
my god. Oh my gosh. And then we had like authors and guidebooks. Cell Max completed. Even Broly would be unable to defeat him. However, due to the early activation, he became an uncontrollable monster. That's kind of interesting to see.
I mean,
Like,
it's really hard for
Joe,
me to believe that someone couldn't be stopped by Broly, but that's insane.
I mean, this is by the authors and guidebooks. So I guess the authors, either the movie or the franchise, confirmed it, because directors and authors do have that creative freedom to put their insight into the canon logic, especially the guidebook, since the guidebook is usually the main measure of power in Dragon Ball, give or take. But even if the author's guidebook is telling that if he was completed, he would be more powerful, but then actually have a cop out saying that, oh, because he's early activated, he didn't reach his full potential. So
I mean, I'm not arguing with them, not even a little bit. He probably
yeah,
does have the ability to take out Broly. Um, yeah, it's definitely a cop out to say like, oh, he definitely would have beat him up, but too bad. And I'm like, you made this script, like you decided to do it this way. Um,
yeah,
but I also think that it was probably one of those situations where they were like, let's not do another. The original Broly movie is
yeah,
literally just Broly going through the universe and just handing people their L's. He is beating down and killing like every fighter who goes up against him. So I think this is one of those situations where they were like, we could ruin everybody's day, or we could just chill and make a
yeah,
strong monster creature.
pretty
Um,
much.
yeah, and also I like that this was one of those few times where we actually had like more of a monster to fight, rather
Yeah,
than it being this hyper intelligent, like superhuman creature. Like I appreciate that because we always have to deal with Cell, Frieza, uh, Frieza's brother, whose name I can't remember. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah, but we always whiz, Beerus. Like we always have to deal with very strong but also very intelligent opponents, and it was cool to see them just do like regular
yeah.
fighting.
True. It is kind of rare opportunity where the fighting is like pulled to a degree where it's actually worth the fight, and it's not too long. It's actually spaced. Its pacing is actually well done.
Oh yeah.
'Cause
I
I didn't
mean,
feel like it was rushed. It was like they understood the medium. They had the movie, and they slowly, got the introduction, the fight scenes, and the background of Cell Max and stuff like that.
yeah, I think they definitely understood what needed to be done in order for the film to be good.
Yeah.
And that was not try and pack in too much fighting. And also not really kill off any characters either. Like they didn't write themselves into a weird corner where they like killed off a character and we now have to wonder like, oh, is that it for them or what? And also we got to see some progressions in the way the lore of DBZ is going to continue now. Like, for instance,
Mhm.
my favorite thing is knowing what's going on with the Dragon Balls, and it's just Bulma consistently collecting them to get minor plastic surgery. I love that. I love that so much. I laughed so hard because I was like, what do you mean she's collecting them? I was like, it makes sense she's collecting them in case there's like an event. But no, she was collecting them so she could get plastic surgery done quick, fast, and easy. And I was like, look at us. Look at where we are.
But like plastic surgery in Dragon Ball should be easy.
For her, yes, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. For her to be the richest and arguably like the most powerful like person in the world because of her family's company, to decide that she is going to spend her resources hunting down the Dragon Balls just to get magical plastic surgery is
I
incredible.
know. Like,
And it
if
also,
she really
but it
wanted
was just
to.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
it was so
Like, if
dumb.
she
I was
wanted
like,
to. Because if she wanted to, she can do funding for, I don't know, Bell Max, if she wanted to do that. But she's collecting Dragon Balls.
yeah, she was so funny to me. And of course, always coming in clutch, always helping out. Um I just thought the movie was really well crafted and then they repeat like, oh, what's his name? Who's the other Namek that Piccolo went to go see? Who like, poured the liquid on top of. The
Anyway,
dragon. Yeah. I love that he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I can totally modify this great magical dragon." That when we started this show, it was like, "Oh my god, Shinron, like the greatest ever." And now it's like, yeah, we can just modify Shinron like he's our familiar in a video game. They're like, "Yeah, we just switched it so, remember when he could give you just one wish and then I made it so he can give you 3? Well, now I'll make it so that he can unlock your latent potential, your hidden skills." And I'm like, "What do you mean? We are so bougie in this universe now." I was like, they
yeah.
introduced DBZ to the multiverse, and they said all of this small stuff is no problem. That was so funny.
Mm. Yeah, I think you have a strong point there. Because the way Dragon Ball usually sells its audience is through crazy plot lines and, somewhat simple ideas on paper, but actually more convincing because they believe what they're doing for like a really petty reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's in its full essence like what you see or would expect when someone says that they watch anime. It's like the blueprint for a lot of shows and the inspiration for a lot of shows. I just thought it was very funny that the things that normally would require a whole saga, a whole story arc beforehand, now are things that like quick and easy, like shopping off a shopping list. Like Piccolo being like, "All right, let me get the Dragon Balls. Let me stop here. Let me stop there, and then I'll sneak back into the Red Ribbon Army." And I was just like, "Okay, well, if all those were the easy things that he was able to do before he even snuck back in, what is it that is going to be the big issue or the big problem?" And then we got to see it with Cell.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because they kind of essence of like Mewtwo ish. It has huge introduction, and then the accident instead of intelligence is just a berserker body without intelligence. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only like again, it still gave me a lot of Broly vibes, but a
Yeah.
Broly that was more beatable. Just for
Yeah.
the simple fact that they created like a big old turn off button on the top of his head.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the first time ever I've seen someone do that. Because I think it was with Androids like 16 through 8, yeah, 16 through 18, they all had that remote control that would like shut them down or blow them up.
Yeah.
Or they had like a self destruct button. That was like a big thing when they had their
Hmm.
story arc to try and get. But for his to be like literally on his body, it's like, yeah, just hit him there, like whack a mole. And then
Yeah.
I think he headbutted him. I think he got headbutted, and he went. Boop.
Yeah. Super whack a mole. I love it.
It did
Whack a
kind of remind
mole
me,
and the superhero stereo.
yeah, because it I don't. I just started watching this show, but it's called Solar Opposite. So if anyone's seen Rick and Morty, it's the same creator. But there's a one scene where like they're trying to blow something up, and the guy's like, "Okay, well, I'll hit the button, and it'll give me enough time to run away." And for some reason, some other dude decides to sacrifice himself and wait to the last minute before he runs away. That's kind of what reminded me in Dragon Ball Z, because like when they said, "Oh, when you hit it, he's going to blow up." So when Gamma 2 did all of that, like charging up and powering up and flying in the air and going down, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna explode like right away." And then he did it. He fell to
Yeah.
the ground, and then it was like a solid 10 seconds, and then it was like, boop. Wait a minute. Why did you could have told us that we had a few seconds to get away? We could have, because otherwise there was no reason for Gamma 2 to kill him, like to kill himself off or sacrifice himself. Everyone thought the second you hit it, he explodes. That was not the case. They could have just beat him down. Or the two, like him and his brother could have both used half of that energy between them and then done the attack, so they still would have been able to get away. But no, we just killed my boy off. I was like, he was so happy, so full of life. And then they just Thanos snapped his body into dust. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. So yes, they did kill one person, but it was an android, and they did my
Yeah.
boy so dirty, so dirty. They
Oh my
said,
gosh.
"Yep, ashes to ashes."
Rest in peace. Like, I don't know why it took that team up in the way it worked, but actually work in the way it did in the movie.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's not common in Dragon Ball for that to happen.
Yeah.
So I was a little confused because I was like, okay, he's doing all of this, um, and it still didn't work. But also in my brain, I was just like, wouldn't you know, Dr. Hedo, wouldn't he know how much force is required to break through the top of his shell? Like maybe he could have told his creation, BT dubs, I don't think that's gonna work. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. But you know what? Maybe he was already oh no, Dr. Hedo was already unconscious during that point, so I take it back.
Yeah.
He had gotten knocked out. Poor thing. Poor little
True.
evil genius.
But yeah, we have, maybe not anticlimactic, but at least a fitting ending.
Oh no, I thought the ending was just right. Again, like, luckily this movie, I think the reason it works is because it had enough wonderful elements and like iconic elements from Super and just from Dragon Ball in
Yeah.
general from over the years that is recognizable to all types of fans of the show. And
Yeah.
then they gave us something new. But then also on the other hand, uh, we got to get like a little bit of a breather from Goku and Vegeta. So the stakes are high, but they weren't like
Yeah.
tournament, universe tournament, whatever it was called, tournament of the universe, whatever. It wasn't like that type of stakes where you were like, oh, if we lose, everybody gone. Like everybody is gone. And this one, it was more so like, if we lose, this will kind of suck. But it was all kind of self contained. So I really like that.
True. And I think with the time length of the movie, you had enough action to suffice the audience, but you also didn't have like drawn out fight scenes that took what 15 episodes, give or take, in a couple of the seasons, which is longer than a movie.
I mean, yes, but also I'm gonna need us Dragon Ball fans to let it go. Like everyone who watches Dragon Ball knows you're gonna be here a while, so you might as well buckle up. Yeah, I think this movie. I think that's why people like the movies because you can kind of get through all of that really quick. But we know that's just how the story goes. They got to get one charge up to last like 3 episodes. Just
Yeah, and I
trauma.
do feel that.
Yeah. No, but overall, I really like the film, and then I I also like the end credit scene that they had.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. And of course, my friend who like absolutely loves Vegeta was like losing her mind. She was like, "Finally, vindication!" And I was like, "Girl, I love him too, but this, you know what? We'll give it to him. He won. Like he finally won a fight
Yeah.
against Goku."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Also,
"Okay,
a funny thing I just realized: Goten and Trunks did the uh Gotensk fusion dance.
yeah."
They botched it, but still
Yep.
able to crack Cell Max's skull. So even when you mess up, you succeed, right?
You know what? Yeah, because I was sitting there in the theater and I was like, "These freaking idiots." Like I was so upset. I was like, "Not them trying to do something and failing." And now we have to deal with this problem. And I was like, oh, never mind. They're still able to fight. Take back what I said. You go, boys. Because when they first did it, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, great. Now they're not going to really be able to fight, and they're just going to be in the way. But no, they were perfectly useful, except for when they were
Yeah.
trying to go back in, and everybody was like, "Can you stop? Can y'all please like stop what you're doing right now?"
But yeah, what do you think of Gohan Beast?
I think he looked ridiculous.
What, the
I thought he
white
looked.
and
Yeah, no, it was the hair length. It was the length of
yeah,
it. It was as bad as oh, what form of Super Saiyan is it? It's the one where Goku basically has like a golden mane that's like
yeah,
all the yeah, and it's just like Jesus Christ, bro, like why? It was so distracting and it made me so annoyed because I was like, look, I was able to take everything else seriously, whether it was Orange Piccolo, which he also just named it Orange Piccolo. I was fine with Go Tense, pop it up. I was fine with all of it until he did his transformation and his hair was so long. It looked like you took the top of a pineapple and cut it off and like the pointy sticky part. I'm just like, why is it so long?
And then his orange Piccolo to motivate Gohan. Gohan, listen closely. You have potential to become the most powerful being on Earth. You need to believe in yourself, unleash that power. It's do or die time, so draw all your strength and use it to protect your world and everyone in it. Of
Yeah,
course,
that was
Piccolo
wild
is the
too.
one to say that.
Literally, I was in the theater and I was like, what a good dad. You know, a great father, a wonderful father. Yeah, that's literally what I was saying the whole film. Like, literally the whole movie, I was like, I just love this father son movie. I love seeing my boys come together because I was like, this is not what Goku would be saying. This is not it at all. Goku would toss a sensu bean to the enemy and be like, "Yeah, punch my son in the face again." I need him to figure it out. Anyway, I'm all like, I'm gonna go die, and it's just I'm a
Yeah, it's
freaking
like
nerd.
Piccolo's like, we are putting your trust in our hands. Just do it.
Do
Unreveal
it
your
for us.
final form.
Yeah, and like I love that. He gave him the full speech. He told him exactly what to do, and it did remind me of like the OG series because I was just like, oh, I remember when Piccolo used to trade him. He was so much meaner then, but he was still like concerned about him. I was like, oh, I love this. I love it so much.
And
I was
now we
scared that
finally
Piccolo
have
was gonna die.
Gohan Beast. Yeah. And now we have Gohan Beast revealed. Would that still stay canon in the storyline? Or would it just be a one off motif in the particular movie?
Sure, because they've done that before, where they've like introduced a form of a character, and then we never really see it again, or they just make something that's a bit cooler, so they never go back to that. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. I have no
I
idea.
mean, literally, quote, this is the last form of Gohan, so I can't imagine there's a form after that.
Well, I mean, no, if they say it's his last form, I'm going to assume that's it. But I do wonder if they're going to have another, if when they have their next arc for Dragon Ball, like what they're going to
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Because
because then they could bring it back.
I know Broly was canon in Dragon Ball Super as well. So there's like different elements that were, you know, a nod that the movie existed and stuff like that. So this could be done here. But, not every movie has to acknowledge the actual original series, episodic content of the movie.
I don't know. I feel like they will keep it in and they'll keep it as something that's canon. Like, there's no real
Yeah.
reason to get rid of it. If this isn't GT, like they didn't make like a major mistake in the writing or pacing of the story and make themselves into like a position everyone hated. So I don't think that they're
Yeah.
going to, take it out or pretend like it never happened. That would be just really strange.
Yeah. I don't know. Potential unleash unique to Gohan. So that's Gohan Beast. I don't know. I really well impressed with the movie. I think it did what people wanted, and it's gonna drive sales. Maybe not as big as Broly, but definitely still a contender.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My only gripe would be that like I really didn't know this film was coming out. 'Cause I didn't really see much promotion for it. Not really in any of the channels I'm on. Or normally I at least see like a YouTube trailer or something, but none of that. Like it was like my friend told me it was coming out over the summer, and that was about it. I think even at the theaters, yeah, like we watched it in IMAX, and it's cool that they have it in both dub and sub. But there were any like of the like the lobby posters and cutouts and stuff for the movies. So I don't think that there was enough promotional for it to get it to
Well,
where
I
it
mean, I
was
knew
like,
it was coming out. I did at one point say, I did see commercials for it. Mostly YouTube. It was like big on YouTube. Not like the trailer, but it was like the promotional for the movie on YouTube ads.
No, I
And
just keep
also, I
saying,
looked at like whatever movie I was looking at the time, and I did see that Dragon Ball was like the next anime movie coming out. So, but that was like probably months ago. I did
yeah.
look at a list of anime premiering in the United States, but that's just because I was curious. So, but yeah, this is what we think of Dragon Ball Superhero. It definitely had the potential to not only be the movie that we did not expect to get, but more characterization for secondary characters. So I give it, a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
Just,
that's kind of where I'm at.
fresher content and attention to the Dragon Ball Super franchise. I don't have any complaints. How about you?
No, I would say 8 out of 10. I do feel like there were some parts of the story that could have been tightened up, but I mean, there was still a lot going on. It was a really fun experience. I didn't feel lost about what was going on at all. So, yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10, and I'd probably even give it a 9. Um, as a non-critical like DBZ fan. I think
Mm,
the fact that they were able to create still a really fun storyline and prove that Dragon Ball is a lot of fun, even when you don't have Goku there the entire time, dead
yeah,
or alive, is really important to the show and to like all the characters that they've created over the years. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
But yeah, this concludes this particular review for the Dragon Ball Superhero. And you can attend this particular podcast where you find podcasts near you. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can follow us along on our official website as well, mcanimepodcast.com, and be part of the Patreon community where you'll be given special access to original content, behind the scenes, appear in an episode, be a guest, commit to, the polling session for different cover art to be aired, and other features. Thank you so much and enjoy.
Yeah. See you guys.
Bye.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.